The words hit me like a slap across the face. You're no longer my son. My mother's voice cut through the expensive restaurant, silencing conversations at nearby tables. Everyone stared. My father looked down at his plate. My brother Marcus grinned, basking in the moment that was supposed to be about him, his acceptance to Harvard Medical School. Mom, I tried to speak, but she raised her hand. Don't. I'm tired of making excuses for you, Daniel. You're 28 years old and you're still just a landscaper. She said the word like it was poison on her tongue. Your brother is going to be a doctor. A doctor. And you? You cut grass for a living. I felt Emma's hand squeeze mine under the table. I own my own company, I said quietly. Buffet Enterprises. We have 15 employees. My mother laughed, a cold, bitter sound. I tell people at the club you're in grounds management because I'm too embarrassed to say landscaper. She looked at Marcus, her face softening. I only have one son now. One son who makes me proud. I stood up. Emma stood with me. And we walked out of that restaurant in Scarsdale while my family celebrated without us. The drive home was silent except for my ragged breathing. Emma didn't push me to talk. She just held my hand while I drove through the familiar streets of Scarsdale, past the expensive homes and perfect lawns. When we got to our modest apartment, I went straight to the bedroom. I pulled out an old cardboard box from under the bed, the box I kept hidden because looking at it hurt too much. Inside were my childhood report cards. Straight A's, every single one. Track and field medals from high school. A certificate naming me student of the month. And at the bottom, a letter I'd written when I was 12 years old. The title made my chest ache. Why I want to make you proud. Emma read it over my shoulder and I heard her breath catch. Daniel? I worked 3 jobs to pay for community college, I said. My voice sounded hollow. Marcus got private tutors, prep classes, everything. When I started my business at 22, Mom told relatives I was still finding himself. When I bought my first truck, Dad said, at least Marcus is making us proud. Emma wrapped her arms around me. I didn't cry. I was too empty for tears. But I made a decision right then. I was done trying to prove anything to them. 3 weeks passed. No call. No text. Nothing. Marcus messaged me once. Mom's upset. Maybe apologize. I didn't respond. What was I supposed to apologize for? Existing? Not being the son she wanted? My business kept me busy. I just landed a huge contract, designing and maintaining the grounds of a luxury boutique hotel. It was the biggest job Buffet Enterprises had ever gotten. Emma was excited. You're building something real, she said. They just can't see it. But I still checked my phone constantly, hoping for an apology that never came. Then came the funeral. A family friend had passed away and I knew my parents would be there. I saw them across the cemetery, my mother in her expensive black dress, my father in his suit. Our eyes met for just a moment. Mom turned away. Dad followed her lead. Like I was invisible. Like I'd never existed. That night, I found an envelope on our doorstep. A wedding invitation. Marcus was getting married in 6 months. I opened it with shaking hands. My name wasn't on it. I wasn't invited to my own brother's wedding. Emma found me sitting on the floor, staring at the invitation. That's when I finally broke down. I threw myself into work. It was the only thing that made sense anymore. I was at one of our job sites, a massive estate in northern Scarsdale, when an elderly man in an expensive suit approached me. He moved slowly but with purpose, watching me direct my crew. You're Daniel? He asked. I turned, surprised. Yes, sir. Can I help you? I've been watching you, he said. His eyes were kind but sharp. Your work is extraordinary. Not just the landscaping, the way you treat your crew, the pride you take, the vision you have. He handed me a business card. The name made my heart skip. James Chin Development Group. I have a proposition for you, he said. Call me. That evening I Googled his name. James Chin was a billionaire. He developed half the luxury properties in New York State. Emma was excited but I was cautious. People like him don't just help people like me, I said. But I called anyway. He answered on the first ring. I've been waiting, James said. Let's meet tomorrow. Come alone. James Chen's office was in a building I'd never dream of entering. Glass and steel and marble everywhere. He was waiting for me, tea already poured. Sit, Daniel. I sat. My work boots felt dirty on his expensive carpet. 40 years ago, James began, I was a day laborer. I came to this country with nothing. No one believed in me. He leaned forward. Someone gave me a chance. I swore I'd pass it on. He slid a folder across the desk. I'm launching a new development, an entire gated community of luxury estates. I want you as the lead landscape architect and contractor. My hands shook as I opened the folder. The numbers didn't make sense. This says, $2.3 million. Over 2 years, James confirmed. There's one condition. You'll also design the centerpiece estate for me. I want it to be your masterpiece. I couldn't breathe. Mr. Chin, I sign today. I'll wire the first installment tomorrow. $500,000. My signature was shaky. Walking out, I called Emma. Everything just changed. But I didn't call my parents. For the first time, I didn't want to. 6 months flew by in a blur of success. Buffet Enterprises grew from 15 employees to 40. The luxury development project was ahead of schedule. Architecture magazines featured my work. Emma and I moved into a beautiful house with a yard I'd designed myself. Marcus got married. I saw the photos on social media. My parents smiling, Marcus happy, everyone celebrating. No one mentioned my absence. No one seemed to notice I was gone. Emma asked once, "Don't you want them to know? About your success?" "Not yet," I said. "Maybe never." But late at night I'd drive past my childhood home. The lights would be on and I'd see shadows moving inside. I'd sit in my truck, hand on the door handle wanting to knock. Wanting to show them I'd made it. I never did. The wound was too fresh. The words too cruel. "You're no longer my son. How do you come back from that?" "I want to show you something," James said during one of our meetings. We drove to the northern edge of Scarsdale, climbing a winding road into the hills. The houses here were massive, estates worth millions. Old money. New money. The kind of neighborhood that screams success. James stopped at an empty lot at the very top. "This is it," he said. "This is where your masterpiece will be. Spare no expense, Daniel. Design something that tells a story." I stepped out of the car looking at the view. The entire city spread below us, glittering in the afternoon sun. And that's when the memory hit me. I was 15 again. Mom dragging us up this same road. "Someday," she'd said, pointing at these houses, "when your father's career takes off, we'll live here. This is where successful people live." It never happened. Dad's career plateaued. The dream died. And now I was building a mansion here. The irony was almost painful. "James," I said quietly, "this neighborhood, my mother always dreamed of living here." James smiled. "I know." I was at an upscale furniture showroom in Scarsdale, selecting pieces for James's estate. The order was massive, over $300,000 in custom furniture, fixtures, and art. I was discussing fabric options when I heard a familiar laugh. My blood went cold. Mom. She was there with her country club friends, casually browsing like she belonged. When she saw me, she froze. "Daniel." Her voice was ice. "Mother." Her friends sensed the tension but stayed close. "Patricia." My mother always insisted people call her Patricia, never Patty, introduced me dismissively. "This is Daniel. He does yard work." One friend smiled politely. "Oh, are you landscaping someone's home?" "He does lawns, gardens, that sort of thing." Mom cut in before I could answer. I felt the old shame rising, the old hurt. Then the showroom manager approached, clipboard in hand. "Mr. Daniel, your selections for the Chin estate are ready. The $340,000 order. Mr. Chin speaks so highly of you. It's an honor to work on such a prestigious project." The friend's eyes widened. Mom's face went completely white. I nodded calmly. "Thank you. Please have everything ready by Friday." I turned to my mother. "Excuse me. I have work to do." I walked away, leaving her speechless for once. Mom became obsessed. "I know because Marcus told me." She'd interrogated the showroom manager, demanding to know about the Chin estate. Who was Daniel really? What was he doing? How much was he making? The manager had been happy to brag about the project, the luxury development everyone in Scarsdale was talking about, the crown jewel mansion in the hills. And Daniel was the lead contractor on all of it. Mom rushed home and made Dad investigate. They found articles about buffet enterprises, photos of me at industry events, a local business award I'd won. How did this happen? Marcus said, she'd whispered. Dad had been shocked too. He's a millionaire? Marcus told me all this during a coffee meeting I'd finally agreed to. I've known for months, he admitted. I've been following your company online. And you said nothing to them? He shrugged, looking guilty. You weren't their son anymore, remember? I figured. I don't know what I figured. Then he told me the worst part. Mom's reaction wasn't pride or regret. She said, you're probably just showing off, Marcus said quietly, rubbing it in her face. The letter came on expensive stationery. Dear Daniel, we've heard about your recent business success. Congratulations. Perhaps we could meet for lunch and discuss things. Mother. Emma read it and frowned. Maybe she's trying. Or maybe she wants something, I said. But I agreed to meet. Some part of me still hoped. The restaurant was neutral territory. Mom arrived perfectly dressed, perfectly made up. She smiled too brightly and talked too fast. We're so proud of you, Daniel. I always knew you'd succeed. You were always so determined. Families should support each other, don't you think? I listened silently, watching her performance. Then she got to the real reason. We're actually in a bit of financial trouble. Her voice dropped to a whisper. Your father's investments didn't work out. We might lose the house. I thought since you're doing so well. You want money? I said flatly. Well, it's not. I mean, family helps family, right? I stood up, placed cash for my untouched meal on the table. You told me I wasn't your son. You don't get to decide I am one again when it's convenient. I walked out. Behind me, Patricia sat alone while other diners stared. Marcus called me that night, panicked. Daniel, they're in real trouble. 3 months behind on the mortgage. The bank's threatening foreclosure. Dad's pride kept them from asking for help sooner. Mom's been spending money they don't have, trying to keep up appearances. And you're telling me this because? Because I'm still in med school. I don't have money yet. You're the only one who can save them. I hung up. Emma watched me pace our beautiful living room. You don't owe them anything, she said. But you have to live with your decision. I thought about it all night. About the little boy who wrote, Why I Want to Make You Proud. About the man who was told he wasn't a son anymore. In the morning, I made a decision. I'd help, but on my terms. I contacted the bank anonymously and paid the 3 months of arrears. Enough to stop immediate foreclosure. But I didn't tell my parents. Let them figure it out, I told Emma. If they're grateful for the miracle, maybe they've learned something. They hadn't learned anything. Marcus called again 2 weeks later. The bank credited their account somehow. They think it was a clerical error or Dad's pension. Mom's telling everyone at the club that everything's fine now. She doesn't know it was me? I told her it might have been you. She said, Daniel doesn't care about us enough to do that. The words hit harder than I expected. Emma saw my face and pulled me close. Some people don't want to change, she said gently. They want to be saved so they can stay the same. I realized she was right. My anonymous kindness had been wasted. Mom had gone right back to her country club, her spending, her bragging about Marcus. I stopped checking my phone for messages from her. I stopped driving past the old house. I let go, or tried to. The masterpiece was almost complete. I stood with James on the hilltop estate, watching the sunset paint the walls gold. Rolling gardens, a koi pond, stone pathways that curved like rivers. A pavilion overlooking the city. The mansion itself was architectural perfection. You didn't just build a house, James said, tears in his eyes. You built a legacy. It's your home, I said. You deserve it. About that. James turned to me. I'm not going to live here, Daniel. This was never for me. I blinked, confused. What do you mean? I'm 74 years old. Stage 4 cancer. 6 months, maybe less. His voice was calm. I built this as my final gift. Tomorrow you'll understand. He clasped my shoulder. Thank you for making an old man's last dream come true. I stood there as he walked away, trying to process what he'd just told me. James was dying. And somehow, this mansion, this masterpiece, was connected to something bigger than I understood. A lawyer showed up at my parents' house. Marcus called to tell me, his voice shaking. Daniel, they're being foreclosed on after all. They have 30 days to get out. But there's something weird. The bank has a buyer who's offering them a different deal. What kind of deal? A rent-to-own option. But on a different property. The lawyer showed them pictures. Marcus paused. Daniel, it's the hilltop mansion. The one everyone's been talking about. Mom almost fainted. My heart started racing. What did the lawyer say? That the anonymous buyer will sell them their dream property for exactly what they owe on their current mortgage. $340,000. They just have to meet the buyer in person and hear them out. Who is it? Marcus asked. Do you know? I knew. James Chin had orchestrated this entire thing. But I didn't tell Marcus. They'll find out at the signing, I said. I read James's letter 3 times, trying to steady my shaking hands. He'd left the estate to me in his will. With instructions, keep it, sell it, or use it to heal what's broken. The choice is yours, Daniel. But remember, bitterness is a poison I drank for 30 years before I learned to forgive. You're smarter than I was. Don't waste your time on hate. Emma read it over my shoulder. What are you going to do? I pulled out a notebook and started writing. Every moment they'd made me feel small. Every time they chose Marcus over me. Every bit of pain I'd carried for 28 years. But I also wrote about forgiveness. About breaking cycles. About choosing love over bitterness. I'm going to offer them the house, I told Emma. But they need to hear the truth first. All of it. Are you sure? I'm not doing this for them, I said. I'm doing this for me. So I can finally let go. The signing was scheduled for tomorrow. I finished the letter at 3 in the morning. The lawyer's office was cold and formal. Mom and Dad arrived nervous, dressed too formally. They were led into the conference room, and I watched through the glass as confusion crossed their faces. I was sitting at the head of the table. What is this? Dad demanded. Sit down, the lawyer said gently. Please. They sat. Mom's hands were shaking. I slid the deed across the polished table. The estate you saw in those photos? I built it. James Chin was my mentor. He left it to me when he died last week. My voice was steady. I'm offering to sell it to you for exactly what you owe on your current mortgage. Silence. Heavy and crushing. Why? Mom's voice cracked. Because you're my parents. I pulled out the letter I'd written. Because despite everything, I don't want you to suffer. But you need to understand what you did to me. I read portions aloud. The restaurant scene. The years of neglect. The wedding invitation I never received. The phone calls that never came. Mom started crying. Dad stared at his hands like they were covered in blood. You can have the house, I finished. But I need to hear you say it. Say you were wrong. Say you're sorry. And mean it. Mom broke first. I was so obsessed with status, she sobbed. With what people thought. I wanted a doctor's son, a lawyer's son, something I could brag about at the club. I never saw you, Daniel. I saw my own failure reflected back at me. And I made you pay for it. Dad's voice was hollow. I went along with it. I told myself I was keeping the peace, but really I was a coward. You deserved a father who stood up for you. I'm sorry, son. The door opened. Marcus walked in. I'd asked him to be there to witness this. I'm sorry too, Marcus said, tears on his face. I knew it was wrong. I said nothing. I benefited from your pain and I'll regret that forever. I sat there, my own tears falling. I needed to hear that. I needed to know it wasn't in my head. I slid the contract forward again. The house is yours. No strings attached. I just needed the truth. Mom reached across the table. I let her take my hand. 3 months later, I stood in the Hilltop mansion for the first time since my parents moved in. Everything had changed. Mom had quit the country club. It was exhausting, she admitted, pretending all the time. Dad had started volunteering at a community center, teaching finance to underprivileged kids. They'd invited Emma and me for dinner, the first real family meal in years. It was awkward at first, but genuine. Mom asked about my work with real interest, wanting to understand. Dad complimented Emma, talking to her like a person instead of an accessory. Marcus admitted he was thinking of switching from surgery to family medicine. I want to help people, he said, not chase prestige. As we left that night, Mom hugged me tight. I'm so sorry I almost missed this. Almost missed you. The healing wasn't instant, but it was real. The story leaked somehow. Local landscaper builds empire and forgives family, read the headline in the Scarsdale Tribune. I was uncomfortable with the attention, but it brought unexpected opportunities. Young entrepreneurs reached out, inspired by my journey. James Chen's foundation contacted me. He'd established a scholarship for first-generation business owners, and they wanted me on the board. Emma had an idea. What if we start a mentorship program through Buffet Enterprises? Help at-risk youth learn trades, give them the chance James gave you. I agreed immediately. James showed me my worth. It's time I passed that on. We launched the program with 5 kids. By year's end we had 15, teaching them landscaping, business skills, life skills, giving them dignity through work. One mentee, a 19-year-old named Alex, reminded me of myself. Hungry to prove his worth. Desperate to matter. I took him under my wing, offering the same grace James had shown me. Marcus showed up at my office one afternoon looking broken. I'm miserable, he admitted. I chose medicine because Mom and Dad wanted it, because I liked the attention. But I hate it, Daniel. The pressure, the competition, the person I'm becoming. I listen without judgment. You were always the brave one, Marcus continued. You chose your own path despite everything. I'm 25 and I don't even know who I am without their approval. Then figure it out, I said gently. It's not too late. But don't blame them anymore. This is your choice now. Marcus nodded, tears streaming down his face. 2 months later, he announced he was taking a gap year to find his purpose. Mom was disappointed but, to her credit, supported him. The cycle was finally breaking. The letter from James arrived 6 months after his death. It had been with his lawyer, with instructions to deliver it on this exact date. My hands shook as I opened it. Daniel, I saw myself in you. The son rejected by his family. The young man who built something from nothing. I gave you the tools but you built the empire. You earned every bit of it. Now I ask one thing. Don't let bitterness win. I let it poison 30 years of my life before I learned to forgive. You're smarter than I was. Heal what I couldn't. Inside was a check. $5 million for the mentorship program. I broke down reading it, grieving for the father figure I'd found too late and grateful for the lesson that would last forever. Emma held me while I cried. A year later, the mentorship program was thriving. Buffet Enterprises had trained and hired 15 young people from difficult backgrounds. Mom volunteered with the program, teaching life skills and etiquette, but this time with humility. She'd formed genuine bonds with several Mets. Dad managed the program's finances, using his skills to help rather than hoard. Alex, my first mentee, was now a crew leader. I watched him direct a project with the same pride I'd once felt, and I understood what James had seen in me. You turned your pain into purpose, Emma said one evening. That's rare. I looked around at what we'd built, not just the business but the lives we'd changed. James's gift kept multiplying. Thanksgiving at our house felt like a miracle. Mom, Dad, Marcus, and his girlfriend gathered around our table. The conversation flowed naturally, stories, laughter, even gentle teasing. Marcus had found peace working as a wilderness guide, helping troubled teens through outdoor therapy. He glowed with purpose. Mom showed me a photo album she'd made. Pictures of me throughout childhood, awards and moments she dismissed at the time. I'm making up for lost time, she said softly. I want to remember who you always were. Dad added, we're proud of you, son. Not because of what you built but because of who you are. The words I'd waited a lifetime to hear finally came. They mattered, not because I needed them anymore but because they were finally true. Emma and I stood on the hilltop where James's estate sat gleaming in the sunset. You know what James told me? I said. He said this place was meant to heal what was broken. I thought he meant my family. But I think he meant me. Emma squeezed my hand. I dropped to one knee. You stood by me when I was nobody. When I had nothing. When my own family didn't want me. You saw me when I was invisible. Will you marry me? Yes, she whispered through happy tears. The engagement party was a celebration of everything. Survival, forgiveness, chosen family. Mom and Dad came but stayed in the background, letting me have my moment. After Mom approached Emma privately. Thank you for loving him when I couldn't. You saved him. Emma's response was gracious. He saved himself. But I'm honored to walk beside him. 5 years passed like a dream. Buffet Enterprises was now a regional leader. The mentorship program had helped over 200 young people find their path. Mom spoke at parenting workshops about her mistakes and growth. Dad wrote a book about financial recovery and humility. Marcus led wilderness expeditions and credited me with teaching him that worth isn't measured by titles. Emma and I had a daughter. We named her Jamie, after James Chen. I watched her play in the garden I'd designed, her laughter filling the air. Emma stood beside me, her hand in mine. I spent so many years trying to be enough for people who couldn't see me, I said quietly. Now I know, I was always enough. I just needed to see it myself. The city sprawled below us, golden in the evening light. My business thrived. My family was whole. And somewhere I like to think James Chin was smiling. Because the greatest mansion I'd ever built wasn't made of stone. It was made of forgiveness, boundaries, and the courage to choose myself. And that mansion? No one could ever take it away. Please like and subscribe for more exciting stories like this. Let me know in the comments section if my story resonates with you and where you are watching from. I would like to hear from you. Thank you for watching. See you soon.